Karma Brands radio station.
Reggie's got his Heisman back. I love it. I know you love it. But what else in sports would you love to see?
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell it.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Streaming live on YouTube. Here's Theo Dorsey.
It's a beautiful day in the sports world on this Wednesday afternoon. Not just because the Miami Heat have a chance at redemption at tying up the series tonight at TD Garden 1-1. And honestly, not just because it's another day that we get to share with you on Theoretically Speaking. It's episode 13, week 3, C-Cat, and they still haven't canceled us yet.
Doing pretty darn good.
Pretty good. C-Cat on the ones and twos, myself, Theo Dorsey, with you, and it's an even more beautiful day because we're carrying you through 6:30 right up until the Miami Heat pregame as they get ready to face the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference playoff opening round, hopefully get their first win of this series. But yeah, Reggie Bush, we learned today, courtesy of ESPN's Pete Thamel, Reggie Bush is being reunited with his Heisman Trophy, and it was pretty cool because about 30 minutes ago or so, I saw on Twitter the pictures surfacing of present-day Reggie Bush with that Heisman Trophy standing in front of it, posing. And one of the first things I realized was like, man, Reggie Bush still looks really good, really young. Like, I don't know how old Reggie Bush is today, but for a second there, I'm like, is this AI? Like, the dude looks like he's still like is almost like 25, 26. He's what? Close, pushing to 40 right now, huh? Or am I tripping?
Aging well. He's pushing 40. He's getting older.
Look that up for me if you can. Reggie Bush's age, because he looks good up there, and I would have thought he just won the Heisman a couple days ago.
39 years old.
39. He's pushing 40. He looks good. Black don't crack.
That's the definition of pushing 40, 39 years old. Way to go, Theo.
I got one thing right today, and the other thing is, yes, Reggie Bush, who won the Heisman in 2005, who had it, he had to forfeit the Heisman in 2010. It's reported today he's being reunited with that Heisman Trophy. USC going to get the replica back on campus. They can stop ostracizing and distancing themselves from Reggie Bush. He is back in the allure. And the number one thing I thought when I saw this Reggie Bush reuniting with the Heisman is this is what you love to see in sports. Finally, for once, the NCAA, the Heisman Trust, the powers that be in collegiate athletics, getting things right here. And I think that this is one of the more universally loved things that you can get. In today's day and age, with everything being so polarizing, not just in sports, but in politics and in news, everybody's got to pick one side of the fence to stand on and just yell at the other side. Oh, I hate you guys. This is bad because of this. Oh, I don't think you're right because of that. Finally, for once, we have one of those stories we can all be unified in and saying, you know what, this is good. Not just for collegiate athletics, because this means that obviously it's happening because a couple years ago, they finally got things right in the court system and allowed these players to start getting paid. And NIL, name, image, likeness, has become such a thing that has proliferated college sports and has changed the way recruiting and transferring has worked out. But also, it's eliminated things like players wins being vacated or players being ostracized from their campus because of the fact that they got paid while playing football. I mean, a crazy thought. How about we compensate these guys that are making the highlights? And nobody made highlights like Reggie Bush did, especially in that 2005 season with USC. Nearly 3,000 all-purpose yards, 19 touchdowns, and he did everything but win a national championship that game. Shout out UT. Shout out the Longhorns. And if there was one side that is still a little bitter today, I mean, as I surf through the interwebs and Twitter, usually most everybody is praising Reggie Bush, but there are the Vince Young lovers and the UT lovers that are still mad that in 2005, though Texas walked away with the national championship, there were a lot of people that thought Vince Young should have won the Heisman that year. First and foremost, shut the hell up. It's not about Vince Young today, right? It's not about Vince Young. It's about Reggie Bush, and it's about celebrating the fact that they finally got something right, getting this guy his trophy back. But on top of that, for Reggie Bush, who was, he got the 5th most votes all time, first place votes for the Heisman that year. He was the rightful owner of the Heisman Trophy and had it stripped away in 2010. I just hate it for this guy because that means the past 14 years, which to me, time is our most valuable resource. I know that everybody looks at so many other things, the money that players are able to make and whatnot, but the past 14 years, Reggie Bush had to live in obscurity when it came to USC athletics, when it came to the Heisman Trust, and when it came to those Heisman House commercials. Reggie Bush has been pushed away from all of that, the glory that is winning the most prestigious college sports award, and now he's back in the fold with that, and I just can't wait to see, especially those Heisman House commercials this coming summer and fall as we get into football season. Like, whoever's working on those, you need to hire somebody work overtime on that. You need to get all the thinking heads, get some writers from maybe even outside of the realm there to work on that Heisman House commercials, because that's going to be one of the highly coveted, most sought out pieces of content that we're going to get this fall, having Reggie Bush in the Heisman House. Maybe you push out Marcus Mariota or somebody, get some real personalities in there and make a real fun one. I can't wait for that. But Reggie Bush reunited with the Heisman Trophy. It's something you love to see in sports. And we ask you today, what would you love to see in sports? What would you love to lock in on in sports? We ask you here to lock in and call in on the Baptist Health Hotline, 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776, as well as give your answers on YouTube with us. If you've been riding with us for the past couple of weeks, you know that you can stream us live on YouTube at Theo Speaking on YouTube. You can subscribe there, stream us live every single day, 5 to 6. Today we're going into 6:30 into Heat pregame. What would you love to see in sports? And for me, following this, the good vibes and the good feels that I got from Reggie Bush getting reunited with his Heisman Trophy and seeing that picture and seeing how well his face lit up, the one thing that can make my face light up and be as bright of a smile and as happy as maybe Reggie Bush is today is if the Miami Heat, and I feel foolish even saying that, but if the Miami Heat can find a way to not just win a game in this first-round series against the overpowered Boston Celtics, but if they can steal one tonight at TD Garden. I looked at Hard Rock Bet this morning. One of the first things I did is looked at Hard Rock Bet this morning to see just how bad things were for the Heat going into this game, to see if that line would move at all. It was 14.5 points. The Miami Heat 14.5-point dogs to the Boston Celtics tonight. Of course, Jimmy Butler ain't walking through that tunnel at TD Garden tonight. It looks like Nikola Jovic has also been added to the injury report. Terry Rozier, I don't think we'll see him at all this postseason either. I saw one report earlier this week that this isn't a career-threatening injury to his neck. And whenever you see something about somebody having something where you're saying, hey, this isn't career-threatening, that's how you know it's actually maybe more severe than we thought. We thought maybe he'd be ready for game 2 or game 3. No, Terry Rozier, whatever that neck issue is, it's obviously more concerning than just a day-to-day thing. The Miami Heat are as banged up as they've been all year. They're without their superstar in Jimmy Butler. But when you invoke that name, Jimmy Butler, and you think about the kind of magic that the Miami Heat have been able to stir up in the postseason over the past 4 or 5 years, dating back to the bubble season with Jimmy, I know Jimmy's not in that building, but maybe on a day like today, the spirit of playoff Jimmy can be, just through osmosis or even through just an injection of energy. Energy is not created nor destroyed. It is transferred. If playoff Jimmy can transfer some of what he did literally on today, that today is the anniversary of 56 points. The onslaught that Jimmy Butler did to the 1-seed Milwaukee Bucks last year when the Heat were the 8-seed who just limped out of the play-in game in a similar structure as they did this year. The Heat in that first-round playoff series against the Bucks, up 2-1 at home at Kaseya Center, and that is when playoff Jimmy, who was already on the map, who already, everybody already knows who this guy is. He really put an exclamation point on that series. How about we relive it together, courtesy of TNT. On this day, exactly a year ago, 56 points from playoff Jimmy. Who's going to be inspired by that tonight, Miami?
Picked up Butler, 3, good! Jimmy Butler's a machine! Butler around angles, up and down! Where did he pull that out of his bag of tricks? It's loose. The lead, Jimmy Butler. 46 points for Jimmy Butler. Sets up on three. Good! Why not? Butler! Long shot! Good!
That was Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller on the call last year, courtesy of TNT, NBA on TNT. Last year, Jimmy Butler's 56 points. I mean, you go back and look at that box score, 19 for 28 from the floor. He hit 3 3-pointers. He added in 9 rebounds. And outside of Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat literally had nothing going on offense that night. Bam Adebayo was the next leading scorer with 15. And Jimmy Butler turning Drew Holiday into a turnstile, taking the 1-seeded Bucks and putting them on the brink of elimination as the Heat climbed to a 3-1 series lead at that point in that Game 4. That was just the epitome of Heat culture, the epitome of a team that nobody believes in, that nobody expects to get over the hump, but coached by Eric Spoelstra, led by the spirit of Jimmy Butler and playoff Jimmy. They did that literally a year ago today. And here we go. I mean, I don't know who you want to be your guy that steps up like that. Jaime Jaquez Jr., maybe, right? Like Jaime Jaquez Jr. is CK. I mean, this is how bad it is right now.
Chest.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. Wake up. You saw what Jimmy Butler did. I don't even want to try to invoke Bam Adebayo or Tyler Hero to do this because I already know what I'm going to get out of Tyler, right? An inefficient night, probably 26 shots, 28 points, at best. Like, that's a good Tyler Hero playoff game at this point. I'm not sure we can expect anything greater than that. But maybe it's going to be Jaime Jaquez Jr. tonight. I'm reaching. But anything from the Miami Heat to show any kind of promise, that's what I would love to see tonight. And the thing I would be most remiss, the thing that I would be most just deeply affected by is if the Heat do end up getting swept by the Boston Celtics. So the thing I would love to see in sports today, a Miami Heat win in this playoff series against the Boston Celtics. Stave off the broom, and also still won in TD Garden tonight. Really put those boys up against the ropes. Like, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. What would you love to see in sports today, coming on the heels of Reggie Bush being reunited with his Heisman Trophy from 2005 that was taken away in 2010, and now 14 years later and 14 years too late being brought back to the Bush household? Hit us up on the Baptist Health hotlines, 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit BaptistHealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit BaptistHealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting BaptistHealth.net/ortho. Hit us up on YouTube at Theo Speaking or jump in on the Baptist Health hotline, 888-760-3776. What in sports would you love to see? And you know what I would love to see, or I would have loved to see? It's not possible. Reggie Bush is 39 years old today, and he's back with the Heisman Trophy, but his playing days well behind him. Imagine a guy like Reggie Bush, not just in college football today, but maybe even in the NFL today, with the way that these offensive masterminds coach up offense and how spread out things are. Like, Reggie Bush could get the ball in space in so many different creative ways. Like, I mean, plop him on that Miami Dolphins team with Mike McDaniel. Put him, give Andy Reid an electric guy like Reggie Bush, Sean McVay, right? Kyle Shanahan. Think about the creative ways in which Reggie Bush could have been empowered in today's day and game in the NFL. Plus, I mean, CCAT, we're talking, what, $5 million is the starting number if he was really trying to do NIL today at USC. Reggie Bush at running back, like, that dude would have made bank.
Oh, for sure. Reggie Bush was a different beast. He was a different animal. I loved watching Reggie Bush, even when he was NFL, because when he was in college, I was still pretty young.
Yeah.
Those memories are pretty young in my brain. But I remember watching Reggie in the NFL, and that was not him at his peak powers when it comes to the football field.
It wasn't because my favorite Reggie Bush highlight of all time was when he went behind the back with the ball on a juke move, headed to the left sideline, went behind the back with it and cut back right. Like, and I think he ended up scoring on that play as well. Like, Reggie Bush was the epitome of not just being really good at football, not just being elite at the sport, but also doing it in a way that was so flashy, so encapsulating that like you can sit back and watch Reggie Bush highlights, as grainy as they are today. You can go back and watch those 05, 04, 03 Reggie Bush highlights and still feel that same, vigor, that same kind of excitement that you would have got if you were standing in the stadium watching him. Like, that dude was jump off the page good. And I just think about in today's day and age in the NFL or even in college football, like that in the TikTok era, I don't know how much longer we have TikTok anymore, but in the TikTok era, the Reggie Bush highlights would be going crazy.
In L.A., played in the Sugar Bowl, on the biggest stages. You kind of got the complete package when it came to the lore, the legacy of Reggie Bush. Just happened about 20 years too early for the TikTok era.
Yeah, 20 years too early for the TikTok era, for the YouTube Shorts era. Like, that dude, it's funny because now in the NBA, you look at guys like Victor Wembanyama, and he's perfect for this because people aren't tuning in to Spurs games, but they're able to watch all of the big moments that Vic Wembanyama does with the San Antonio Spurs because you have so many different platforms that people just spit out these highlights right after they happen. Reggie Bush would have been not just doing it on the world's biggest stage in college football at USC at the time, but we also would have been getting every single play we missed on YouTube and on TikTok and on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it right afterwards. Like, that dude, man, those were fun times in college football. And I forget how young you are because I was young watching the Reggie Bush stuff, but yeah, you were like in diapers damn near.
Yeah, exactly. 7 years old. So not too much.
Not in diapers?
But a big thing, so what? So what, Reggie Bush? It's not like people forgot what Reggie Bush did and all of a sudden today, it all actually happened now because he's vindicated with the trophy. So
right.
What? But it does matter at this stage of those guys' career to be remembered in the history books, to be on the Heisman stage, to be in the commercials. It's a fraternity, right? It's a brotherhood, and now finally, officially, Reggie is accepted for real in that fraternity.
And that's the thing, too, is like when he got ostracized like that, when they took all those penalties, he wasn't able to go and embrace with the Trojans football team. He wasn't able to go to the actual Heisman ceremony in New York with the rest of the Heisman winners, right? Like, and whether or not you're pro or against players getting paid, I get why USC had to eat the sanctions and they lose their BCS National Football Trophy and whatnot, and they lose about 30 or so wins they had to vacate. I understand that from the NCAA side because you had a competitive advantage with getting that player on your roster, but Reggie Bush's parents getting a home in San Diego and people sliding him some cash ain't the reason why a dude almost had 3,000 all-purpose yards. It ain't the reason why he was skirting all through the Pac-12 for touchdowns left and right and had defensive coordinators, up in sweats all night. Like, he was damn good at football. And one of the biggest things that I kind of remember about the Reggie Bush stuff was, like, people really wanted to see him in a Houston Texans jersey, either him or Vince Young. And I'll never forget when the Houston Texans, with the first overall pick in that draft, ended up going Mario Edwards, defensive end, or Mario Williams. Was it Mario Williams or Edwards? I'm confusing about
Williams. You got
Mario Williams, yeah. And it was probably the right pick in hindsight, but people were very let down. 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. Who in sports, or actually not who in sports, but what in sports would you love to see coming on the heels of Reggie Bush being reunited with his Heisman Trophy, which I think out of all things in sports, that was the one thing we can all agree on. It's just good. It's just good business. Vontae is in Atlanta. Vontae is on Theoretically Speaking and chiming in from Atlanta. I gotta guess that maybe this is like finally the Falcons get over the hump. But Vontae, what in sports would you love to see coming off of Reggie Bush getting that Heisman Trophy?
Okay, I'm going to say what I would love to see. I'm going to give Reggie Bush some love first. I just want people to realize Reggie Bush was the reason people started playing NCAA football, the game.
Speak on that.
Polls, him and Vince Young. After that whole year when the game came out, that was the only thing you wanted to play. You wanted to play USC or you was Texas. That was it. Reggie Bush, the running back, murder. Anytime you get Reggie Bush, 20 yards.
Hey, every single time. If you hopped on the sticks, you were either running with running back number 5 for USC or quarterback number 10 for Texas. And both of them high 90s in both speed and overall and unstoppable. in the college football game.
Exactly.
That's a good call.
They made that game what it was. And the one thing I would love to see in sports is I would love to see all the Miami fans just understand and learn that it's time to go ahead and start rebuilding. You guys have a great day.
All right. I appreciate your call, Vontae. Now, the purpose of love to see isn't to love to see somebody else's misery. Now, he's not wrong that Miami needs to retool this roster seriously this offseason. It's not competitive enough, especially in a series like this against the Celtics without Jimmy Butler. So I got to eat that one a little bit. But come on, man.
I mean, in the YouTube chat, the common trend is the broom emoji. So people are loving to see the demise of this year's Heat team. The fact that you're doing the whole, what was it, the Anthony Edwards meme, he said, they've got KD, but we've got Jaden McDaniels. Yeah. The fact that you said last year's team, I know that was Jimmy Butler, but we've got Jaime Jaquez Jr.
Jaime Jaquez Jr., the Rook. Give me the Rook. Hey, Jimmy gave us 56. Jaime can give us 30 tonight. That's all I'm saying. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. What in sports would you love to see? I would love to see a Heat win in this series. Vontae would love to see the Heat fans have some realization and get back to a rebuild maybe. What in sports would you love to see coming on the heels of Reggie Bush being reinstated with his Heisman Trophy? C-Cat, who we got on line 2 right there?
Got Joe in Jupiter on line 2.
Joe in Jupiter is on line 2. You are on Theoretically Speaking with C-Cat and myself. Joe, what's happening?
How are y'all?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy. I'm optimistic ahead of a Heat game, too. I saw some road teams win last night, including your Mavericks, and now I think the Heat have a chance.
Absolutely. I'm rooting for the Heat as well.
Thank you.
If my goal is for the Mavs Heat finals. Obviously, that's a reach, but still, it's okay. Obviously, you know where I'm going to go. I got 2, and I'm going to tell you where I'm going to lean. Obviously, I would love to see another Cowboys Super Bowl victory, or at least appearance. I did get to experience them in the 90s. I was in my 20s, so I definitely remember them like it was yesterday. It's only 30 years ago, but I would love that. But I think more than that, although I did experience it in 2011, I'm not going to bring up what happened with the Mavericks and the Heat back in 2011, but I think Luka, to get a championship, I think I want that more. I mean, I'll give you some trivia. Do you know there's only 2 players in NBA history to average at least 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists during their playoff career? Obviously, Luka's one of them. You know who the other one is?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Man, you're good.
Come on, man. This ain't my first day on the radio.
Put on the spot. Answer the call. Let's go, Theo.
Real good.
Come on, Joe.
And last night, some are saying that was his best. Did you see his defense last night? He was incredible. I'm just saying. He's taking it to the next level. So I just would love to see him as Cowboy Luka get that championship because, he's been playing since he was like 5. He's a good kid. Never heard anything bad about him. He is a fighter. He's a warrior. Yeah. And I think I would want that more than I love both, but that's my take. I think Luka getting a championship, at least to the NBA Finals, and we might have a chance.
There's a chance this year. There's a chance this year.
There really is.
Thank you for the call, Joe. Joe in Jupiter, the eternal Dallas fan, wanting Luka to get a championship. I'm not mad at that, and Luka has a chance to be that guy in the NBA right now. That guy. Iron Eagle called him that guy. We're going to get to that call and more with the Mavericks and Clippers because they gave us some exciting stuff. But we're still taking your calls on what you would love to see in sports today. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. That's the number for the Baptist Health Hotline. We're taking your calls on the other side. We're Theoretically Speaking on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the